Boker Tov. Today's daf is daf Tzadik in Baba Kama, as we learned for Chanukah basis on Sunnah Matzar V'Shivya. At the end of yesterday's Gemara, we had two different brises which talked about if a woman knocked out the teeth of or tooth or the eye of her eved, and she had a husband. So what's the deal there? Normally, to knock it out, the eved goes out free. So we had a machlokas. One brisa said that if it's an eved that belongs to Abdi Maluk, something that belonged to her family, and now she's married and her husband has rights to use him. So one said that an eved Maluk yotzim shem v'ayim l'isha v'lo, that if she knocks it out, she's really the owner, so the eved goes out free. But the husband does not. If he knocks it out, it doesn't go out free. Another brisa said neither one of them go out free. So we assume that everybody holds kinyan aperis, meaning the acquisition that the husband has the rights to use this eved, to use the work of the eved, is not kinyan. He doesn't really own it. And the chor of the machlokas was, one holds it to the Takana Susha, one not. The Takana Susha was that a woman is not allowed to sell. She doesn't have full rights to sell while they're married because it takes away from the matrimony the good relationship. That's what the Takana Susha was. The chor of the machlokas was, one holds it to Takana Susha, and therefore she cannot. She doesn't really have ownership, and if she knocks out the tooth or the eye, it doesn't. The eved does not go out free. And the other one says that neither one of them. That if the other one says that the wife knocks it out, she does go out free. Doesn't hold the konasusha that she's allowed. She has full ownership. The Gemara said no, that's not the machlokas. Everybody could hold. We said the kuli alma is everybody else the konasusha. One was the one brisa was before the kana, one was after the kana. Or you could say that everybody holds it the konasusha, and everybody's supposed to speak on after konasusha. And what the machlokas is over here. Rava, the hold of Rava holds that hektish chams v'shikr takes away from the shibud, and the shikr that she's mashach for the eved is stronger than the shibud. So is that a machlokas? Is what Rava says machlokas between the Tanam? So you could say no. The machlokas is the question is everybody holds of Rava, but over here the Rabbanan by the Takana Susha they gave him a stronger ownership, meaning even though the eved maluk belongs to the wife and she should have the rights to sell him and to free him, etc. But the Chachamim gave him a stronger power and doesn't allow her to do it. Or you could say that everybody holds that everybody does not hold the Takana Susha. And over here, what's the machlokas? If there's no Takana Susha, she should be able to free him. The question is, can Kinyan Paris get good from me or not? Kinyan Paris that the husband have, is that considered like he's an owner? And therefore, that takes away from her rights to sell him or free him or not? And that's the machlokas over here. That's what we left off yesterday about the 6th, 7th line on the daf. Can you goof or not? That's the machlokas over here. Everybody doesn't know the Kansusha, and the Kana and the Shiva of the Baal is like any king of Paris. The king of Paris now completely that's machlokas. We've looked at Hani to know. In other words, if you say that the husband king of Paris is Kinyan Guftami, so he owns it too. So his ownership is as strong as hers. So therefore, she can't just free him on his own. If your king of Paris is not Kinyan Guftami, therefore she's the real owner, and the husband's rights in the eved do not give him really ownership. And what's the machlokas? This is where we left off yesterday about the 7th line down of the page. You sell your eved kanani to somebody else. Reuben sells it to Shimon, and Reuben says, I'm selling it to you today, but I still need to keep it for 30 days. I need to use this eved for 30 days. It's yours. I'm selling now, but the deal is that I get to use them for 30 days. Okay. Now, what happens is this: there's the next week's parsha, not Yisro Mishpatim. We talk about all the avadim, all the damages. Most of this Masechta is found in that parsha. One of the deals is that if you hurt your eved Kanani and he dies, you're killed for that. He's a human being. He's half Jewish. What happens if he lives for a day or two? He lingers for a while. Then you're potter. Now, if somebody else does that damage to him, even if he lingers for a couple of years, but he dies from that, the person's chayav for murder, not the owner. So what's it going over here? So now Reuben sold the eved to Shimon, and Shimon's the owner, but Reuben has the rights to use the eved for 30 days. Rav Meir says Rishon Yeshnim Dem Yam. Now, what happens if during that 30-day period, Reuven damages the eved, but the eved lives for a day or two, right? Leaves till the next day, meaning Yom Yomai, meaning he lives till the next day. Then you're not chayiv. Then he's not chayiv misa. He's not considered murder. Who's the owner over here? Is it Reuben or Shimon? Shimon's really the owner, but Reuben has the rights to use him. Rav Meir says the Rishon, the first guy's the right to him because he's under her jurisdiction now. Yes, Reuben sold him to Shimon. Shimon has title, so to speak, but since Reuben has rights to use them for 30 days, Shimon can't use them during those 30 days. So since it's under Reuben's jurisdiction, he's the owner, and therefore he has the din of Yomi Yamayim. If the Eved, if he hits the Eved, and the Eved lasts for at least a day overnight, and then the Eved dies, he's not chayav murder for that. That's Reuben would have that exemption. The fact that he can use them, the fact that Reuben is not the title owner, he sold them to Shimon, right? Let's say he sold them for cash or for a star or whatever, he sold it to him, but he has the rights to use them. Reuben retained the rights to use them for 30 days. During that 30 days, he's considered the owner because he and Pesach No, Shimon, who is the real owner, he has the din of Yamayim. If Shimon hurts him and he lasts the day, Shimon's off the hook. But if Reuben hurts him, Reuben's chayav murder, right? Why is the second guy considered the owner according to Rabbi Yehuda? Meshu kaspo. He's kaspo. Ksav kinyan peres lafki kinyan rutami. Kinyan peres. The fact that Reuben has the rights to use them doesn't give him ownership. The owner is Shimon. Okay, so we have this machlokes between Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Now, by the way, now we're going to two other opinions. But before we get there, the other day, the day before yesterday, we had the machlokes between Rav Lakish where the kinyan peres kinyan rutami. The Gemara doesn't say there's machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish. Isn't this really a machlokas? Usually when it's a machlokas by Rabba, the Gemara will say, well, if that's really a machlokas, why are the Maram arguing about it? We don't find that over here, L'chara. I didn't see it that they asked that kasha. So L'chara, you could say that maybe the machlokas Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish, who were the early Amoraim, maybe you could say the machlokas is kufa. Who do you paskin like? Because we said over there, that's one of the three cases when we said Rish Lakish says that what Shimon Kinepers is lafki kinyan guftami. Why? Because he holds Kinepers lafki kinyan, and he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. The machlokes remain Rabbi Yehuda. We usually go like Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe that's why we pass like Rish Lakish. It's one of the three cases in Shas that we pass like Rish Lakish against Rabbi Yochanan. Really, it's passing like Rabbi Yehuda against Rav Meir. You can say that maybe that's why the Gemara doesn't ask it, because really the machlokes Rabbi Yochanan Rish Lakish is who do you pass like Rav Meir, Rabbi Yehuda? Maybe that's the pshat. I'm not sure. In any case, we have these two opinions. Rav Meir says kinyan peres kinyan rutami. Therefore, Reuben's rights to use him during 30 days gives him the ownership. He's the owner, so he has the din of Yomi Yamayim. That if he hurts him, he's not chayav murder if the Eved lasts overnight. And Rabbi Yehuda says no. Shimon has those rights because he's the owner. It's his kinyan kid. So he owns kinyan peres kinyan. The fact that Reuben could use him does not give him ownership rights.
Why isn't Reuben the original owner? Why isn't he a shomer? He only has use of it for 30 days.
Right.
It's like he's a shomer.
Right. You could say that, but he's more than a shomer. A shomer is not allowed to use the item. Here he's entitled to use them totally. He has full rights. Shimon can't even come and take it away. During those 30 days, he says, listen, I'm selling it to you, but I'm selling it to you today, but I have full rights to use them 30 days. You can't touch them. Even though you're the owner, I have the rights to use them. He's like a shoel, right? Like a shoel. So he has right. Presumably if the Eved would die in that some accident happened or whatever, he'd have to pay for him because he's like a shoel.
If he punches him in the face, knocks out his eye. Right,
that's the machlokas over here. That's the machlokas. That's the yachli machlokas. According to Rav Meir, he would go out free because he's the owner. Because he and a person can get it from me. Because Reuben's considered the owner. According to Rabbi Yehuda, no, he wouldn't go out free. He wouldn't go out free because he's not really the owner. Now, the same thing would be. You could say that's a good point you're raising. Why don't you have machlokas about if he goes out free or not? But here the issue is if he killed him, is he a desert imam? Who's really the owner? Presumably be l'chor the same machlokas about if he knocked out the eye, or the same thing. Rabbi Yossi Omer, or you could say it's like we saw yesterday with we're going to see that in a minute. If they both have rights in it, well, that's really the machlokas over here. So we have these two opinions so far. Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Meir says that Reuben's considered the owner. Kinyan peres kinyan. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Shimon's considered the owner. Rabbi Yossi Omer Shneim Yeshim Dinyamayim. They're both considered the owners. Zeb Meshu Tachta. One because he's under his jurisdiction, he's using him. Zeb Meshu Kaspa because he's the owner. So what does that mean? He's really giving a kula over here. He's giving a leniency. He's saying neither one of them, neither Reuben or Shimon, who kills him during that period, during the 38 period, would be killed for that if he lasted overnight. Misafka, Kinyan Peres Kinyan V'Dami, or Ilav Kinyan. He's not sure. Rabbi Yossi is not sure. Is Kinyan Peres Kinyan V'Dami like Rav Meir or like Rabbi Yehuda? Kinyan Peres Lav Kinyan V'Dami. Rav Meir holds Kinyan Guf Kinyan V'Dami. Rabbi Yehuda says Lav Kinyan. Rabbi Yossi is not sure, and therefore it could be that Reuben's the owner, could be Shimon's the owner. Therefore, if either one of them killed him during the 30 days, but he lasted overnight, they wouldn't be killed for that. The suffix Navash's Hakol is a question: are you going to kill Reuben or Shimon for killing the slave? well, maybe each one of them, whoever killed him, maybe he was the owner, and therefore, if the evet lasted overnight, if he lingered overnight, wouldn't be killed. So Rav Yossi says not sure, and both of them basically get it. You apply the rule of Yomi Yomayim to both of them, and neither one would be killed. Rav Elazar Omer, Shneim Eina B'din Yomayim. No, neither one of them gets off the hook. They're both either one would be chayiv misa for killing him, even if he lingered. Why? One, because he's not under his jurisdiction. So if he's not under his jurisdiction, not considered the owner. And the other one, Reuben, in other words, Shimon is not considered the owner because he's not under his jurisdiction. He is under Reuben's jurisdiction. And Reuben's not considered the owner because he doesn't belong to him. Rabba, so Reb Elazar basically is machmer. Reb Elazar says that either one of them who killed him, even if he lingered, would be chayiv misa. Rav, my time, Reb Elazar. What's Reb Elazar's reasoning? That pasuk it talks about if he lasted a day over a night, lo yukam, he will not be avenged, meaning he won't be killed. The owner who beat the eved will not be killed because it's his. He's the owner. That's a special halacha in the Torah. Now, if he kills him and he killed him immediately, shot him in the head, and he died immediately, he would be chayiv misa. The owner would be chayiv misa, assuming that there was Edom and Asra. But over here, when he lingered overnight, that's machlokas. So Reb Elazar says neither one of them is considered the owner. So neither one of them gets the advantage of Yomi Yamayim, and they would both be considered a murderer. Whoever killed him would be considered a murderer, even if he lingered. What's Reb Elazar? Because it's kaspa miyuchalo. His ownership rights, his money, it's his asset, really. What's miyuchad for him is special for him. Over here, it's not really Shimon's because it's not accorded to him. It's really Reuben could use him during that 30-day period, right? It's not particular to him. And it certainly doesn't belong to Reuben. He's simply using him for 30 days. Let's say a husband and wife. We had an issue before. What was it, Kanasusha? That if a woman has nechsei melug and they're now in the marriage and the husband's entitled to use them, she can't sell them. That was the Kanasusha. What happens if they both sell them? They both agree to sell them. Neither one of them, it's not considered a sale. Listen to this. Husband and wife both agree to sell. So what do you mean it's not considered a sale? They both agreed right now. But let's say one of them dies. The other one can renege on the deal. It's not a sale. And if one of them dies, the other one could take it back, could renege on the deal. Why is that? So Rashi's going to explain, but he says, who does that go like? Come on, Reb Elazar. Like Reb Elazar, who says what? She doesn't really own it because he is entitled to use it. And he doesn't really own it because he only has user rights. He's not entitled to, he doesn't really have ownership rights, right? That goes like Reb Elazar. And Rashi says over here, this is a very important Rashi before the Mishnah. This is not like Shutton. Why? The Alma. Not like regular Shutton. By a regular case of partners, let's say there's two partners, a simple case. Ownership rights, when people are shutting in something, the halacha is they both own the whole thing with the rights to take half. That if they split it, each one's going to get half. But they both own the whole thing right now. They each own the whole car or the whole evet or whatever it is. Aval hocha, says Rashi, kulan kenuyin leguf, kulan kenuyin lo leguf. She owns the whole body, kulan kenuyin lo payers, and he's entitled to all the payers. In other words, nefsem melug means she's the owner, but he has the rights to use it. She can't take the payers away from him. So here, this is not a regular case of shutfin. Shutfin, if they agree to sell something, they could sell it. But he says, you know what? But now, that's the case of shutfin. This is Reb Elazar sheet. We don't necessarily hold a Reb Elazar sheet, but doesn't really hold like him. That ish v'ish shemachim nefsem melug lo klum. But the Rambam's statement is there. It could be that we do hold that way because this is not like shutfin. They are not shutfin in it. She owns it. He has rights in it. It's like you own an apartment. It's rented to somebody. Are you partners in it? No. Partners means you each own the whole apartment. What does that mean? It gives you the rights that if you sell it eventually, each one will take half. Each one will take half. But they each own the whole thing right now, as opposed to here, where she owns it and he has usership rights. But like in Yuchalas, it's not individualized. It's not particular to one or the other. So that's what he says over here. And the same thing we're going to have in the next case. Look back in the Gemara. Come on, Montana, back in the Gemara, 6 lines above the Mishnah. Montana, who's the author? Person's half an Evan, half Ben Chorim. How is that? Presumably because he had two owners and one was mashach for him or not. We'll see. Uvechein evet shel shnei shiftin. Evet belongs to shiftin. Ein yotzim b'rashim. They don't go out. Rashi Barim. Why? Rashi Barim shein chazon. If he knocks out, a tooth or an eye or any of the other avarim that are not that don't grow back, they don't go out at all. In other words, who's the author of this? It's got to be his own, his only. It's only an evid which is particular to him. It's I can't think of the word from Yuchad, right? It's particular to him. It belongs to him only, and it doesn't belong to the other guy. So here, unique. It's unique to him, right? Ish should take a look at Tosos, the bottom Tosos. Ish now, if Rabbi Lezer made that difference between Shutfin and over here, then Malug, where she owns it and he has rights, as opposed to Shutfin, where they both own the whole thing. So he says, Rashi, the last Tosos says, last Tosos on the page. She owns the whole body. He owns the pairs. But like Ube'inyan zeh, says Tosos, 2 lines from the bottom of the page. Yesh lomer evet shel sheshif, also the besomach. If they each own the whole thing, what's going on over here? No. Shel zeh guf zeh peros. That's what he means over here. It means it's not regular shittim. They each own the whole person. This one owns the guf, and this one is the half of the base. The evet paid for all his money. In other words, he paid his way out already. So he doesn't. So again, it's not like they each own half. That would be a regular case of shutfin, because you say over here that if it's real shutfin, they each own the whole thing, so each one should be able to knock it out. But here you say if he's a chayef and that goes like a blessing. We're not talking about a case where they each own the whole evet for selling half, but rather one owns the body and one has the usership rights. In the case of chatzi evet, the chatzi ben chorin, it's not like he owns half and he owns half, right? Like that would be real shutfin. No, it doesn't mean that. It means where one is missing a get shikra, the ownership rights of the get shikra, he's missing that. But it's not like they each own half. One doesn't own himself. One owns he owns his whole body, and the other one owns the whole rights to use him because he doesn't have a get shikra yet. So that's the idea over here that that it's not a regular case of shutfin, because if it would be a regular case of shutfin where each one owns the whole body, the whole thing, the whole goof, whatever the item is, the whole item in order to get half, then you would be able to go out with shein ba'ayin because each one is considered an owner. So that's what Rashi means. One owns the goof and one owns the paris, and they have to say that's what Tosa is adding on. They have to say the same thing in the case of evet shel shnei shutfin. It's not like if an evet belongs to two shutfin, they each own the whole thing. Why does it go up Rashi Barim? Each is a full owner, a full owner of the whole thing in order to split it to half, but each owns the whole thing. And here we're saying that it's not the case. It must be where each one doesn't own the whole thing for half, but rather one owns the goof and one owns the pair. Says you have to say otherwise. It's a kasha on Rashi. Says the Mishnah, now here we're talking about cases where, if you do damages to a person, does a damage to somebody else, you have to pay 5 things. Nezek, Sari, Kushavas, and Boshas. That we've learned already. What happens in many cases, you do damage, but there's no physical damage. There's no Nezek. There is no devaluation of his worth. There's no doctor's bills or time off from work, but you've embarrassed him. Sometimes you've caused him physical pain too. Let's say you hit somebody on his ear, or sometimes you blow a shofar, right? Blow a blast of some music instrument, right? Blow a loud noise next to his ear, and that's embarrassing. No, you have to give him a sela. So here the rabbi said, when it's, we'll see, this could be maximum amounts or fixed amounts that the rabbi said, this is what caused, that's a shame. You shamed him, you embarrassed him, you pay him. That's what the boshus is. Rabbi Shapiro said, not a sela, which is, let's say, 4 zuz, but rather 100 zuz, mana. Sutra, let's say you hit him, you smacked him on his face. Now sometimes you give him 200 zuz. If you did it with the back of your hand, which is more embarrassing, you hit him with the back of your hand. You give him 400 zuz. Let's say you pulled him by his ear, or you damaged the ear, or Talish Basara, you plucked his hair, you spit on him and landed on him. You removed his garment, his outer garment. All those are embarrassing things that you did. Or Parosh Isha, you uncovered a woman's hair, b'shuk in the public. Those no arbams, you pay 400 zuz. Okay, these are fixed amounts. Now, the Gemara says, the Mishnah says on Amid Beizak Klal, it all depends on the person's honor. In other words, an important person is more embarrassed than a than a poor person, let's say. Okay, so the Gemara is going to explain. Rashi, the Gemara is that a kula or a chumrah? Meaning, are all these are maximum amounts? The amounts of money that we listed so far are maximum amounts. Meaning, for a person who's very mechubad, very honorable person, would get those amounts. If you'd be a lesser person, maybe you get less amount. That's what the Mishnah said so far. Rabbi Akiva disagrees. He says, no, there is no difference between one Jew and another. Even the poorest of the poor, these are freedmen who became poor. We're all we're all like malachim. We're all like malachim, like kings, not malachim like kings. Milachim. We're all like kings, and we're all honorable people. And these amounts should be given to everybody. That's Rabbi Akiva's opinion. We'll see. We don't hold like Rabbi Akiva. We know that all depends on the person embarrassing and the person who's less embarrassed. Sometimes if a person's more honorable, his embarrassment is greater. If you were ridiculed or embarrassed by somebody who's more chashuv, that also adds on to it. If you were embarrassed by some lowly person, nobody considers that anything, so that's less of an embarrassment. So the Tanna Kama holds it all depends on who's embarrassing and who's being embarrassed. But Kiva says no, all Jews are equal. There was a story of the person Shapar Roshi. There was a story with the Jewish man who uncovered a woman's hair in the marketplace in public. She came before Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva was Machayev, the person was to give her 400 zuz. 400 zuz. That was the story. Like the Mishnah said, you uncover her hair, 400 zuz. Amalo. So the defendant here claims, as Rebbe said to Rabbi Akiva, Tenlizman, can you give me a few days to make the payment? Give me a few days before you issue the final judgment. But also sometimes he says, okay, we'll give you a week to check, to make your case. Shamra met herself as a sorry. So he went, this person who did the damage to her, who uncovered her hair, went and observed her. He laid in wait there, he spied on her, and he saw that when he waited till she was standing at the opening of her courtyard, he broke a little vial of oil in front of her, and just a small amount, like it worth an Isram, a small amount of oil. Gil says, Rosha, what did she do, this woman? She saw some oil spilling in the street. So she took off her head covering, and she was gathering up the oil. She was gathering up the oil with her hand, and putting the oil on her head. She was anointing herself using the oil on her hair. In other words, she wasn't embarrassed to uncover her hair in public. So Hamid led the Adam. So he put some Adam over there to witness the thing. Both and came for Rabbi Akiva. Amalei Lazu or Lazah, and he knows Sandal Zuz. Why do I have to pay 400 zuz? She's not. I didn't embarrass her. She embarrasses herself. She has no honor. She doesn't care to uncover her head anyway. Amalei Lo Mata Klum. That's no argument. What does it mean? No argument? Because a chavah batzmo, if a person damages stuff, even though you're not allowed to cut yourself or damage yourself. But Potter, you don't have to pay yourself, because you don't have to pay anything, even though you're not supposed to. If other people damaged him, you have to pay. If you cut down your plants, you destroy them, you're not supposed to. Because it's baltashkas, but you don't have to pay. But other people are. So even though she embarrassed herself, fine, she can embarrass herself. She's entitled to, but you're not entitled to. Therefore, you have to pay. That's Rabbi Akiva Pasuk. Excuse me. So when we said over here in a Mishnah that you have to pay a mana, that was the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that if you hit somebody on their ear or blow a loud noise into their ear, embarrass them that way, you have to pay 100. It's 100 mana tsuri from Tyrian mana, which is 8 times as much as regular local money, or mana Medina tan, or is it regular local money, which is only worth an 1/8 as much? In other words, what kind of money are we talking about? Tashma, there's a story. The person did this. He hurt his, banged on his friend's ear or blew some loud noise into them. Also, Lekame to Rav Yehuda. He came before Rav Yehuda, and he took him to court to Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda the Sia, not Rav Yehuda Nasi, but his grandson the Sia. Other people went by the name of Sia, usually a grandson of Rav Yehuda Nasi. Amalei Ha'ana. He says, look, I'm here. Rav Yosef Levi. and Rabbi Yosef Glili, Havla Manatsuri. I am here, and we have Rabbi Yosef Glili's opinion here. It's like, I am here. We're not sure what this means at this point. Here am I. Here's Rabbi Yosef Glili. Havla Manatsuri, give her Manatsuri. All right, so you see that the psak was that for that kind of a damage, you hurt somebody in the ear, the amount that you have to pay for Boshes is Manatsuris, 100 of the higher valued money. Shmamina Manatsuri time. So that answers the question of, is it Mana Medina or is it Madonna? What kind of $100 are we speaking about? Are we talking about like, silver dollars or paper dollars? The answer is it's the higher amount. Shmamina. Okay. But what was that case? You had a plaintiff and a defendant, the mazik and the nizik, let's call him, where the mazik hit the guy on his ear or blew something into his ear, and the guy took him to court and said, you got to pay 100. Okay. Man, what was his answer? He came before Rav Yehuda Nasiya, and Yehuda said, well, here am I, and here's your What does it mean by that? My ha'ana ha'resig. What does it mean? Here am I, here basically. Ilema ha'chakam. That's what he meant to say. Ha'ana. Here am I, the chaziz. I saw this. You came before me, Rav Yehuda, came before Rav Yehuda Nasiya, who was there, who witnessed the story. Who witnessed? Here am I, who say, Rav Yosef Glili, and we have Rav Yosef Glili's opinion, not Rav Yosef Glili standing here. Rav Yosef Glili Damar Manatsuri. There's Manatsuri. So Zilhavli Manatsuri. Okay. Is that the case over here? When the nizik came before Rav Yehuda Nasiya, and Rav Yehuda says, well, here am I, and here's Rav Yosef. What do you mean by that? Does it mean here am I who saw you? I saw it take place, so therefore I can paskin. I'm a witness, and therefore I can judge you and say you have to pay the $100 in Manatsuri. And why? Because how is the amount? We have Rav Yosef Glili who says that the amount you pay is Manatsuri. So Manatsuri, the Meimer Dei Nasan, does that mean that the aid can be a dayan? We have a machlokas about that. Can a witness become the judge? Let's say that the court is outside the court. People from the court, judges are walking in the street and they see something. They see a murder take place. They don't need the witnesses to come before them. They saw it. So that's it. Can the witness become a judge right then? Is that what you say, that the aid, and therefore I can be the judge? This is a money case, so one person, one judge is enough. And therefore, Rav Yehuda Nasiya said, look, I saw it take place. How much is the fine? Well, we have the fine determined by Rav Yosef Glili. You already said it's Manatsuri. So does that mean to say that the aid can be a dayan? Rav Yehuda Nasiya, who was the aid, can be a dayan. I have a Tanya. We said we have a vice. Sanhedrin Shiro Echet Shorek. Let's say Sanhedrin was out in the street and they saw Reuben kill Shimon. Miksas Nasa Adam. Some of them should become Adam. Miksas Nasa De'adam. Some should be Adam and some should be Adam. In other words, some of them should be Adam and they should testify in front of the other ones because the Adam himself cannot just say, I'm a dayan also. Rabbi Akiva says, Kulam Adam. They're all Adam. Ein Bein Enes Dayan. Once they're witnesses, they can't become a judgment. They can't become judges. Rabbi Akiva, once they're witnesses, it's not like some say, okay, you be the witnesses and you be the judge and you testify in front of him. Rabbi Akiva says, if you're a judge, once you're a witness, you can't become it. Can't be a dayan. I can't look over Rabbi Tarfon. There, Rabbi Tarfon says some should be Adam and some should be dayanim. Nobody says that Adam. Rabbi Akiva says clearly Eid Nasa Dayan. Even Rabbi Tarfon, who says that some should be Adam and some should be dayanim, says fine. So the Adam should testify in front of the judge. But he also doesn't say that the aid Nasa. He doesn't say the aid can become a judge himself. No, he doesn't have to testify because he's an aid. He's an aid. There's no better aid than you saw it. There's no better aid to testify in front of a judge than the judge himself who saw it. So nobody holds apparently of aid Nasadayan. So how could Rabbi Yehuda Nasi say, well, Nasi say, I saw it, so I'll be the judge, and I'm telling you, how much you have to pay? Okay, what Rabbi Yosef Glili says. This says no. Kitanya lo aid Nasadayan lo kamer. Nobody holds to that. Apparently, no. Kitanya go shura b'layla. The truth is, Rabbi Tarfon knows that aid could become a dayan, not like Rabbi Akiva. The aid could be a dayan. So if they saw the murder take place, that's it. Nobody has to testify in front of them. They could be the judges right then and there. We saw it. We're the judges. Yeah. Why is it a judge? Why is it a conflict of interest? What is his interest? His interest is he has no interest in it. So they themselves they don't need it because they're the judges. They don't need to be That's the judge. The is for the judges to say is the guy telling the truth, but he himself knows the truth because he saw it himself. That's the machlokas here. Can aid become a dayan or not? But the point is, nobody else they could be a dayan. Says no, aid could become a dayan. When they saw it at night, they can't be judges right then. They saw it at night. Then you can't have a court at night. Court cannot start at night. So therefore, it can only come the next day. The next day already, it has to come only by a testimony. So he says that's the case over there. That's speaking about where they saw it at night. So Tarfon says, okay, so during the day, some of them should be witnesses and testify in front of the others, even though the others saw it already. But it can only be an aid Medallion only if he's at that point in time. He saw it right now and he judges. He saw it right now, so he's a judge. I saw it take place. That's it. You have to pay. The judge is out in the street and he saw a car accident. He saw one guy on purpose smash another car. He could judge right then, according to Dapim. Now they're asking you can't do judgment over there. But the point is, the truth is though that Rav Tarfon holds that aid could become a dayan if he saw it during the day. In other words, he doesn't have to come before court. He is the court. He's the witness and he's the court. Rav Akiva doesn't hold that way. Rav Tarfon says he could, and Rav Yehuda Nasiya will go like Rav Tarfon says. Rashi, that the story was slightly different. Here am I hold like Rav Yosef Levi. In other words, when he came before Rav Yehuda Nasiya, and he said, "Look, he hit me in the ear, or he blew in my ear," he says, "Here am I hold like Rav Yosef." What he means is not that I saw it and I'm becoming the judge. And you have to explain, like it goes like Rav Tarfon, that Rav Tarfon holds that way, even though Rav Tarfon, that case over there in the center speaking where he saw it at night, but normally he could become a judge. But rather, here am I hold like Rav Yosef Levi says that it's Mondam or Monatsuri. And there are witnesses. Zilhavli Monatsuri. In other words, according to this, the story was very simple. The defendant came before the judge and he says, "Look, this guy did this damage to me. Make him pay." And Rav Yunus said, "Yes, well, I am a judge, and I hold like Rav Yosef Levi. I didn't see it take place. I'm not the aide over here. I hold like Rav Yosef Levi says you have to pay Monatsuri. And we have witnesses who saw it take place, so pay him." Very simple case, no case of aid nasadayim. But we saw that Rabbi Akiva clearly says, "Ain't aid nasadayim." If judges see a murder, they cannot become they can't paskin based on what they saw. You have to have witnesses come before the judges, like you say, and do drisha b'chakira. So it's more of a suburb of Kiva, the Ain't Adas doesn't really hold it. By the time we learn Ikish Yisrael Beben Avegro, Pasuk says again in the Parsha and Mishpatim, if a man comes, one Reuven comes and hits Shimon with a stone or with his fist, and he kills him, so you have to, he gets, it's a case of murder, right? If he hits him, or not really a case of murder. There it's speaking about we have to pay for the damages, right? You have this Pasuk over here? No, this Pasuk is on. Yeah, I don't have the pasuk here in front of me. Which pasuk is it up here? I don't know the pasuk. It's what Yud Tes?
Yud Ches.
Yud Ches. Yeah. I go, thank you. Okay, he doesn't die. In other words, it wasn't a case of murder, but he has to pay. He's got to pay the 5 things: Nezek, Sari, Pesheps, and Boshes. Good. Okay. So it says just like fist is unique, right? That's the word, unique. Shemasulated could be given over to the assembly, to the court. They could check his fist. Ula Adam, and the Adam could see it. Of course, Shemasulated Adam. In other words, it's got to be something where the court can see the kind of damage as well as the witnesses. Let's say the guy says he hit him with a hammer. Where's the hammer? We lost it. You can't see it, so you got to bring the hammer to court and say, is this going to kill him? Let's say he says he hit him with his fist, and it turns out that the mazik didn't have a fist. Let's say he didn't have a fist. Let's say he was amputated at the elbow or something like that. You don't have it. You could see it. So it's just like something you could bring to court, and Adam could see it. So it's got to be something. Yatsa excluding a case where they don't have the what we call the murder weapon. The murder weapon could be a fist. It could be an axe. It could be a rock, whatever. Amar Rabbi Akiva. Listen, Rabbi Akiva said, did he hit him in front of Bezin? Shiur and Kamiko, Amayiko? Let's say he hit him with his fist, right? But what does that mean? He didn't hit him in front of Bezdin. He didn't hit him in front of Bezdin that Bezdin could say, is this fist capable? Let's say the guy was a bar mitzvah boy and he had a small fist. And the guy that he hit was a big, 300-pound ox and, big guy. And he says, you think this kid hurt this man to this extent? Did Bezdin see it? How much did he hit him? Where did he hit him? Did he hit him in his thigh or at Sipur Nafsho or in the tip of his heart? But in other words, where did he hit him? If you hit him in his leg, is that as bad as hitting him in the heart? How can they judge based on that? It says just like the fist is something that's given over to the assembly, to the court, and to the aid, and they can see it. So it's every murder weapon has to be the same way. So what does that have to have a murder weapon? You don't know how he used it. Let's say he pushed let's say Reuben pushed Shimon off a roof, or Meir Shapiro from the top of a building, Umes and Bezin. So Bezin Hochen, do they have to be able to see how it took place? Do they have Bezin have to go out to the building? Eitzel Bira, Birach, or are you going to bring the building to Bezin? What does that mean? It's got to be something just like you can bring the fist to court and see it, like the murder weapon. What happens if there was no murder weapon? He pushed him off a roof. Are you supposed to bring the roof to court also? The business to go to the roof? Voting enough. Let's say Bezin is mechuyev to go out and check the roof and see how, well, could he have been killed from there? Let's say he fell off a roof. The roof was 2 inches off the ground. So that wouldn't be enough to kill him or to do the damage. Or let's say the roof is no longer there. It fell down. There is the building. Enough you have to go rebuild it to determine if you could have killed him. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that. So Shimon said just like the egg of the fist is something that Bezin could see and the Adam could see. Same way, it's got to be the murder weapon's got to be able to be visible to the court and visible to the witnesses. If we keep this as visible to the court, you can't have. They weren't there. Just like the fist, something that the Adam could see. Of course, the court doesn't have to see it. The witnesses are telling about it, but it's something that the witnesses could see. Of course, you must let him. But what happens if the Adam couldn't see the weapon? They saw somebody fighting, and then they saw this guy damaged, but they couldn't see the murder weapon, or he didn't have a fist or whatever. They couldn't see it. Then you're putter, right? Because it's got to be. It doesn't have to be the witness that the court has to see it. Just that the witnesses have to see it. Telling me, what do you see? Omar Bakiba says, say Bezin says, did he hit him in front of Bezin? Shiur and Kamiko, they know how much he hit him. Was it enough to do the damage? Or he called B'fneim? Achana, right? The whole machlok, Kiva said, did he hit him in front of Bezin? Kamiko, but let's say he did hit him in front of Bezin, mashma, that Bezin could pass him based on that. So what do you see? Eid Nasadayan. Eid Nasadayan, mashma, the Eid could become a dayan. Kiva said to Rav Shimon Tamani, what are you talking about? It's got to be something that the Bezin could see, inspect, and assess to see if that did the damage. How could Bezin see it if it's in the thing took place somewhere else, or in a building, or if he hit him with his fist? How did he hit him? There was no video. So what does that mean? So it can't be that. It must be just enough for the witnesses to have seen it, right? But if the witnesses couldn't see it, then there's potter. But the point is, he said, did Bezin see it? Mashma, Bezin would see it. That would be enough. Mashma Eid Nasadayin, not like Rabbi Kiva said, Ein Eid Nasadayin. The answer is Rabbi Shimon Tamani, Kamar B'lei Lo Spiri Lei. Rabbi Kiva himself holds that Eid Nasadayin, but according to Shimon Tamani holds that Eid Nasadayin, because Shimon Tamani apparently holds like Rabbi Tarfon or like Rabbi Yehuda and the Sia, that an Eid could become a Dayan. Then he says, according to you, what do you mean that it always has to be something that the Bezin could see? Bezin can't always see what took place over there. It can't be that it's that just like the fist is something that Bezin could see. Bring the fist to court. You bring the mazik to court, you could see his fist. It's got to be something that Bezin could see. What happens if there was no fist involved? He pushed him off a roof, or he hit him. How does he know how he hit him? Did he hit him hard enough to do this damage or not? So that's Rabbi Kiva argues with him. It doesn't have to be where Bezin had to see it. You rely on the Adam, but the Adam have to be able to see it. In any case, we have this machlokus whether Eid Nasadayan or not. Rabbi Kiva says Eid ain't Eid Nasadayan, and Rabbi Tarfon apparently holds that Eid could become a dayan, and Shimon Tamani will hold that way too. Tanur Rabbanan. A short time, go back to our shirts of short time shahemis. Remember, a short time pays only half, and he pays out of the goof of the animal. Let's say a short time killed somebody. The short time is still judged for death, right? Even though he's a tam, we had before, there's witnesses, you killed the shore. Let's say he killed somebody, and then after he killed somebody, he did some monetary damage. He damaged the shore, whatever. He did some monetary damage, or your car, or whatever it was. You do the capital case against the shore. Not why? Because since the animal's killed, and when you pay the damages, the chatzin esek that a short time pays, what do you pay out of the goof of the animal? But the goof of the animal is killed, so there is no goof to pay from. Right? He's killed by the court. There's no din in mamonis. Rashi says the tam ena mishalma megufo b'areu nisko. Okay, let's say it's a shor muay. That's what we're going to concentrate on. A shor muay. Shahemus that killed the hizik, and then he did damage. Now, shor muay, when he did damage, you pay not out of the animal, but you pay out of the owner's assets, right? So, dananos did a mamonos. You first do the mamonos case. You judge the financial case, right? The damages. And then after that's assessed and the owner has to pay, because of the day to kill the animal if he actually, if it turns out that he actually killed somebody. What happens if you done denefashis first? It was a shor mu'eh. And you said you should have judged the financial case first and paid, and then judged denefashis. Let's say you did denefashis first. Ein chosm said you don't judge the money case afterwards. Why? Right. This is my hobby. So what if you judge the capital case first? Judge the capital case first. He has to be killed. Right. You take the animal out to kill him, but before you kill him, judge the monetary case. What's the problem? So what if you judge him first from the capital case and you have to kill the animal, you don't judge the financial case afterwards, the Nezikin case. I found the rabbis in the yeshiva. The others they were sitting and learning, and they said, "It goes like Shimon Tamani." The Amar Ma'agraf Miyuchat Shemosalei. We just had this like Tamani. Shimon Tamani who said that just like the fist is something which is given over. In other words, it could be assessed by the court and by the Eidim. Alma being the Beidina. You need the judge, you need the bezdin to be able to inspect it and assess whether he did the case. In this case, even the Gomer Dina, once you've judged the animal and you've sentenced the animal to death, lo mashina, you don't leave him around, you don't leave the animal around the Beidina to be inspected by the court, because you don't delay judgment. That's called inu adin. We don't have death row like they have in Texas, right? They don't have death row. When a person's judged to be killed, you take him out to kill him right away, unless there's somebody coming and as Malamed Chus for him, you kill him out right away. Same thing with the animal. So he says that's the reason why. In other words, if it's shor mu'eh that killed somebody and also did damage, you should judge the money case first, and then judge the capital case. Because if you judge the capital first, you have to kill the animal right away. And what? So what if you kill the animal right away? But then you have to determine, in order to determine the damage case, you have to see, is this animal capable of doing the damage? Let's say the animal was a cat or a small animal. Could he have done this damage? So you need the best to be able to judge it. That's what Shimon Tamani said. You need to be able to bring the animal to court and judge whether he could have done this damage. And you won't have the animal because you have to kill him right away. And Rava said, I found the rabbis who said it goes like Shimon Anna. I feel to Kiva. If you go like a Kiva, who said what? That the Bezin doesn't have to inspect it, like a case of murder where Bezin has to go out and check whether he hit him this way or hit him that way. Bezin doesn't have video of it. Or if it fell off a building, pushed him off a building, Bezin has to go check the building. Feel to go Kiva says just left to hit him. So why over here is there a problem? Why is there a problem in doing if you did the capital case first, you did the capital first, you kill the animal, and now you take the owner to court and say, look, your animal did this damage. What's the difference? The court doesn't have to see the animal, according to Rabbi Kiva. You know what's spiking over here? The owner ran away. The reason is that the reason why, if you did the capital case first, you don't follow it up with the financial case, with the Nezikin case, the damage case. Why? Because the owner's not here. He ran away. So if he ran away, if he ran away, even if he didn't do din fashis, you say if you did the din fashis first, you can't follow it up with the din mamas because the owner ran away. But if he ran away, even if he didn't do din fashis, how would you do din mamas? You're saying you should first do din mamas and then do din fashis. If you do din fashis first, you got to kill the animal, right? So according to money, killing the animal would prevent you from doing a financial case because the court has to see him. According to Bakiva, that wouldn't prevent him. So why can't you do din mamas afterwards? Even though the animal is killed already, you could still judge the owner with Adam, who's testified to what the animal did. So yes, the owner's not here. But if the owner's not here, even if you didn't judge the capital case first, how would you judge the din mamas? Below Balaam, you can't judge a man without if he's not in absentia. And so the couple of Sadeh. The answer is Adam came first while the owner was there. The Adam testified that your animal did damage and you have to pay. And then he ran away. And then the owner ran away, Baruch. So how would you pay it? If the owner ran away, how could you do the damages? If the owner ran away after the Adam testified against him that he owes him, if he ran away and he has no assets, how could you pay it? Meridya. The answer is you take the animal, if you didn't do the capital case first, you did the financial case first, and it was judged that he has to pay, then he ran away. So you could take the animal, take the animal and hire him out for plowing, and with that money, you'll pay the damages. Tam the dine din in mamas. If that's how you do it. That's what famous like a big. But if that's the case, a tam also you could judge din and aspiration. First do din and rashas, minishtalim, meridian, pay out of the plowing fee that he would get. But then do it in the fashas. We said in the case of a tam, you don't tell din and mamas because that's paid out of the goof of the animal, and you just kill the animal. You kill the animal, and that's it. But here also, if it's din and mamas, if you can hire him out and pay from the hire for the plowing. So in the case of a tam also, why don't you done the din and mamas first, pay out of the fee for the plowing, and then do the capital case on the animal. That the money that you get for plowing is like the assets of the owner. That's not when we say that at the time you have to pay out of the goof of the animal, that's literally from the goof of the animal. You sell the animal and pay out of the goof of the animal. In this case, you have to kill the animal because the animal is a murderer and he's judged from Misa. Therefore, you can't have that. But either way, this brisa could come out either like Shimon Tamani or like Rabbi Akiva. It's sort of a set of keeping like Rabbi Akiva that the reason why if you did the capital case first on the Sharmued, you don't do the Mamonas afterwards is it's speaking about the owner ran away. And if the owner ran away, you can't judge him for Mamonas, and he's not here. You can't hold him responsible. But if the owner ran away after you did the dinner Mamonas and the animals here, then you could hire out the animal, pay the damages from that, and then do the capital case afterwards. All right, we'll pick it over from the 2 dots tomorrow, Mr. Meadboy. Have a good day.